Welcome to the Marketing for the Culture podcast, powered by the African American Marketing Association. Each week, we'll bring you an insightful conversation from some of the best experts in our industry on how to advance our career. Join the collective of Black marketers across the world, advancing their brand as we work towards creating a collaborative community. Hey, good people. Welcome to the Marketing for the Culture podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Gomez, and today's special guest is a good friend, Ja Allen. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
What's going down? I'm good, doing good.
I love it. You always come with good energy. So for those of you that don't know who you are, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Well, Ja Allen. I run a marketing agency, Endless Eight Marketing. We help business owners grow their digital presence using website design, content strategy, and social media. So that's just a little bit, I guess, about me professionally.
So I am curious, did you do a rebrand regarding your business name?
A little bit, yeah, I did. Coming out, I was just really branding it with my own name, but I found that some people get confused and it can be confusing. And I noticed with other people that may have a personal brand where it's their name, they kind of start out with their name, but they always like rebranded to something else. I watch a lot of Neil Patel. So he was one of the ones that I seen that did that, where it was like Neil Patel Digital. Now it's like MP Digital and things like that. So I started to realize like, yeah. Then I heard somebody else, I forgot who it was, but he was like, that was one of his biggest regrets. I forgot who it was. But he was like,
really?
Using his like brand name and all the time, because now when he goes places, he goes to the doctor, he does different things, you automatically know who he is, usually just by that, because the brand name is most popular. So I'm trying to learn how to separate the two. And also because, it's now a brand at this point. So eventually I don't want to be as connected to it, because like any business owner, I might want to sell it or I might want to do something else. So I want to have that flexibility to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think the personal brand versus the company brand is going to be the age-old debate within our industry or business industry as a whole. And it's definitely hard to separate the two. I guess, are there any tips as far as what you've learned in the short amount of time of kind of reinventing yourself?
I guess the biggest tip is, if you can, if possible, try to come out and do it automatically. But at the core of it, people still really identify you, your name, and who you are to your brand. So it's kind of that thin line where, depending on who you're talking to, they'll always like identify. Like it doesn't matter how many times I say Endless Eight Marketing, they still just say, "Oh yeah, that's Ja." They just still recognize my marketing as just, "Oh, Ja." So it's just about tax purposes now. At this point, for me, it's like just to make sure everything looks good on paper. But people in itself, they always just still recognize just you as the brand. Usually your brand name, that's still your name. So it's kind of a hard differentiating factor, especially when you're the face of it. I think that's the biggest thing. It's different when you're not the face and you're kind of behind the scenes. It might be a little easier, but when you're the face of it, naturally, people always just identify my name. That's the name of the company. And, to a certain extent, I'm kind of cool with that, because it's like, yeah, just call Ja, you know what I'm saying? And any voice will say something else, but
Yeah.
But that's one thing I've noticed in business too, and it's one of those things where people don't realize how much the name really doesn't matter as much. It doesn't matter as much as you might think. So that's one thing it really showed me as well, because for a little while I was trying to do that transition and figure out where I was going to go with it, I really didn't necessarily have a name. It was just, I was just doing business, and people, you'd be surprised how they don't ask what's the name. As long as you know what you're doing, that's all they really care about.
But you said it, until, you have to do the paperwork, contracts, and even then, obviously you need it on there, but people are not really nitpicking on that. But the taxes?
Yeah. Yeah, make sure you have it right for that. But that's the biggest thing. But other than that, you can really maneuver just as, whatever you want the name to be, as long as you're doing good work. That's all people really caring about.
So in your answer, you said something, and I was like, this is the perfect domain name. So you're like, just call Ja. So I'm like, just call Ja.com. Like,
Don't say that too much. Now I'm gonna have to run off here and go buy it. You know how the world is now.
for
They
your,
like
for your marketing needs, just call Ja. I mean, okay.
now I gotta go buy that as soon as we get off this call to make sure that nobody else does.
All right. So let's go back a little bit. How did you get started in marketing?
Oh man, it's crazy. I was actually in a network marketing company. So people that may or may not know network marketing, where you usually build a team, you recruit people. So you might know it as like the Herbalife. You might see people selling tea, different things like that. The company I was in was actually revolved around travel. So I got in that company super well young. I was like 18, 19 years old. But that company was really the pivoting point, and it changed my life. And I don't realize how much it changed my life fully yet, but every year I realize more and more, because that company is what introduced me to entrepreneurship. Because growing up, I didn't know what entrepreneurship really was. I really didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? But that company, and any network marketing company I'm noticing, really helps you with personal development. So that company helped me start reading books and introduce me to different things that I didn't even know nothing about. And eventually getting out of that company, I was in that company for about 5 years, and transitioning, getting out was about 2016. And around that time is when Instagram has started really becoming popular. And we were using Instagram to promote for the company, because it was a travel club. So it allowed us to travel around the world for lower prices. So low discount prices, you were able to travel around the world. And that was very appealing. So when we go on trips, we would just post pictures on Instagram. And so I started building a following on Instagram from that. But I've always been kind of that techie person, always into just different tech in general. So once I kind of left that company, that's when I started looking into, building websites, and then, social media, and then email, and all these different things. And it kind of fell in my lap from 2016 up until now.
And speaking of falling in your lap, I guess let's talk about just overall personal and professional development, especially in this digital age, because I'll probably say maybe the past 5 to 10 years, companies have been slowly trying to get into this digital marketing, but a lot of us old heads were self-taught, right?
Mhm.
So, who are some of the people that you follow, courses, masterminds? What are some of the things that you've invested in order to keep on top of your skills?
To be honest, from a marketing standpoint, I just try to learn every day. So I try to learn every day with marketing. If it comes to podcasts, joining different courses, joining different groups, being around other marketers is another thing. But I'm just consistently trying to consume every single day with learning more and more and more, as it relates to marketing. Because as you know, and probably other people that are in marketing, and marketing is changing every day. So what may be popular working today, it might not be popular and working tomorrow. So it's something that you have to stay on top of. And the best way to do that is just by really jumping in the industry and kind of just surrounding yourself with it. So even on social media, a lot of people that I follow are marketers, or they do something in marketing. So I'm just always steadily consumed with marketing in some type of way, form, or fashion. And that's what keeps me up to date and staying like on the trend as much as possible.
Yeah. So, what are the trends, hot topics, trending topics that you're seeing today on any social media platform, digital?
I think like most people are seeing, this AI trend is just going crazy. So that's I think that's the most prevalent one right now, is just AI, figuring out what are all the ways you can use AI? How can I really use AI in my business? What makes AI the best, latest, and greatest? So that's one that I'm really monitoring. I wouldn't say I'm staying on top of it, but I'm definitely monitoring it, only because it's still new. So it's like staying on top of it is kind of, I wouldn't say pointless, but it's kind of hard because it's going to keep changing so much. So I needed to stabilize a little more. And as it stabilizes, I'm able to really get on top of it. But that's the main one that I'm really monitoring the most. Of course, monitoring TikTok to see what it's going to do. I don't think they're going to ban it necessarily in the US, but really figuring out what are the restrictions they're going to put on it. Does it really help with growth? Who really needs to be on there? Because, you still hear people saying, oh, business needs to be on TikTok. This person needs to be on TikTok. But to be honest, it's really figuring out still what is really happening on TikTok and who's really making, is it revenue generating? Is it more about brand awareness? And of course, it's going to vary depending on the business, but I think it's still a very, very new platform to monitor and just watch and see what will come out of it. And then with Instagram, that's another one where, again, just they're steady changing, but they're steady adding stuff to it, and they're making it very hard to grow on there, I would say, or to really build a legit following. So I think with Instagram, you really got to pay attention to the type of content you're putting out. I've been noticing that if you're able to put out a lot of probably tips, tricks, and hacks, that's probably one of the quickest ways to grow your Instagram right now from a shares, likes standpoint, especially if you're adding in stuff that relates to AI. I see that doing really well. So from an Instagram standpoint, is monitoring what type of content is actually getting the reach and the awareness without having to pay for ads. So that's kind of what I'm monitoring for each platform individually right now.
Yeah. And you mentioned your services, web development, digital marketing, content creation, if I'm not mistaken, or content marketing. So what kind of clients do you work with, and how do you help them navigate this content marketing landscape?
Well, it depends. We don't necessarily work with a niche right now, but it is a certain type of client. I don't want to say revenue because then that like scare people out. Like, well, I'm not making that much, but I tell people the simplest way to put it is somebody that has set aside a marketing budget. So a client that understands marketing is what's going to take them to the next level. They are now at a point in their business where they have a marketing budget set aside for a company person or whomever to come in and help them grow. So that ideally is the type of client that we're looking for. They have a marketing budget and they have probably been in business. I've noticed probably anywhere from 3 years or more, sometimes maybe 2 years, but typically about 3 years or more. They've seen profit in their business. 9 times out of 10, they're either doing it full time or they're about to go full time. So it's no longer a side hustle, or it's no longer something they're doing after work. It's probably something that they're doing on a consistent basis. If not all day, they take majority of the day and do that, and they're kind of transitioning out of the corporate space. Typically, we work with, ideally, if the products, I wouldn't say the product again has a monetary value on it, but it's mostly somebody that has a service or product that it's not necessarily a low cost. So and I don't mean that in any type of way, but I'm just saying, like, it's not like necessarily if you're still maybe selling a product that might be a low cost and low value. So it really just depends on the client after I have like an in-depth conversation. But the simplest way to put it is, if you've thought about, hey, this is our marketing budget, we have a marketing budget, then you're probably somebody that I'm now talking to, and you're probably at the level where you're like, okay, cool, let's have a conversation. And if you aren't at that level, we also have options for people that aren't at that level. So I do a lot of training now, especially in Houston. So with like the Small Business Development Center, I do training with them. Houston Community College, you might see me doing training with them. And I have some other organizations that I'm going to start doing training with coming up in August. So you can attend those trainings. And typically they're free because the organization usually pays me to come in. So typically the trainings are free. Or you can join, I started a marketing community. So it's a community for small business owners. We get on the call every single week and go over a new marketing tactic, trick, or trend. It is a group setting. So you just submit your questions and I answer the questions online live for everybody in Zoom. So you'll still have access to me in a certain manner. It just wouldn't be one-on-one. So I kind of got a little bit for everybody at every level that they might be at.
Yeah, and speaking of community, and you've been a member of AMA from the beginning, pretty much. But what are some benefits when it comes to having a community, whether it's for your actual brand or even some, I guess, client testimonials on how you've been able to elevate members in your group?
I feel like the biggest thing when it comes to community is you have the other thinking around you. That's one of the biggest things, because a lot of times I tell business owners all the time I work with, sometimes you're just too close to your business. So being able to have other people that are either in the same industry or at least going towards the same goals as you, can have a huge impact on your community. I mean, on your business, but also on the way that you're thinking about certain things and about certain ways that things might work inside your business. So it's huge. And I would say from someone being inside of our community, the biggest things I've heard is they're staying on top of trends and techniques. See, usually it's not, as a business owner, you're usually running your business, and you got a whole bunch of other things running as well. So trying to stay on top of what's the latest thing happening in marketing for that week can be fairly difficult for someone. So that's one of the benefits that I've heard the most. But another huge benefit is not having to jump around on YouTube and just looking at different videos and feeling like that you can figure it out by yourself. Sometimes you just need to ask somebody that's been in the industry or somebody that might be able to help you just that one question, because all the time a YouTube video can't get you to the answer because something might happen that didn't happen in the video, and now you got another question, and it go on and on and on. So those have been the biggest success stories, saving a lot of time from jumping around on YouTube, but also having thinking that can look at your business in a way that you might not be looking at it.
Yeah, I love it. Those are good points. So you will be speaking on the Growth Marketing Strategies panel at the Marketing for the Culture Summit. So how do you define growth marketing? And I've been hearing a lot of different answers. So I'm kind of curious what your take is.
It really depends. It really depends, because I would say it depends on every business what growth marketing is, and to be honest, where are you going to do it at? What you going to do it at? What's your strategy going to be? What's your take going to be? So when you say growth marketing, I would say, okay, from a growth standpoint, what is your definition of growth? That's one. And two, when we figure out what's your definition of growth, okay, well, what can we do this type of growing at? Is it going to be on social media? Would growth marketing for you be maybe growing your email list? Would growth marketing for you maybe be getting out in the community more and building up more brand awareness behind your product? So when we say growth marketing, I really feel like it depends on the business. And then when we figure out what the business is, all right, cool. Well, what is going to be your definition of growth when we say you want growth? And then after we figure that out, well, what are the mediums that we can actually do this growth marketing on to see those results? So when it comes to growth marketing, I try to work almost backwards a little bit, where if we know the goal, then it's easier for us to figure out the strategy. And then once we figure out the strategy, then we can figure out, okay, cool, this is where we can take our growth marketing to the next level. But growth is different for everybody. Some people growth might be just to add, 100 new followers and they all good. And then some people are like, well, no, growth for me, guys, I need to make an extra $50,000 in revenue. It's like, so, you're going to have two different growth marketing strategies from that standpoint. So I really just feel like it depends on the business and what is your definition of growth. And then we take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very real. And I think, the beauty of at least what I envision in the panel is, one, everyone's successful in their own right. All of the panelists have worked on 6 and 7 figure projects. And you can speak to, okay, how you scaled your personal business, as well as how you have collaborated with the client and able to create this project that allowed them to scale their business, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping the panelists, the moderator can bring out of y'all, and the people will get that from the panel. That's what I envision.
No, I'm pretty sure it'll make it happen. Pretty sure it'll make it happen.
So give some people some insight. You were able to join us last year in Atlanta when we did Marketing for the Culture Summit. So what did you enjoy about it? What should the people expect? And then kind of dive into what you're looking forward to this year.
No, definitely. Last year was really great. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed being around other marketers because, like I said, sometimes it's hard to get other marketers in the room. And a lot of times, especially when you're not in marketing, you just say marketers or marketing, but a lot of people don't realize that entails a lot. You might be talking about a LinkedIn marketer. You might be talking about social media marketer, somebody that does email marketing. There's so many different type of marketers when you say marketing. So being able to get all these different perspectives and people inside one room and hear what they're doing, that was one of the things I really enjoyed, but also understand how these other industries are doing their growth marketing. Like it was a guy on there talking about LinkedIn. He had like LinkedIn influencers, I think, or something. He was doing like influencer marketing, but they were doing it in a way where they were partnering with like LinkedIn and different things like that, ways that I never even thought about doing influencer marketing. So I love being able to get around other thinking that's in the same industry, but it helps your industry because you never know what they're doing to really grow. So that was really insightful at the last one. And also, I feel like being able to get in the room where they might be talking about things that are new, stay on the top of the game and new, because you don't realize how we all be thinking about the same things, but at the same time, it's so many nuances and so many different ways that it can be done. But because you may not be surrounded by that, or you might not be in tune with that or understand how it really works, you might be a digital marketer and maybe you focus mainly on social media, but you never realize how much, I don't know, web development or just different aspects of marketing really go hand in hand. So I love that we're able to bounce ideas, but also on the panel, you have those different perspectives, kind of how you were saying, where you might have worked on a client that was here and I worked on a client that's maybe here, but how the nuances are kind of the same sometime, and you can use some of the same efforts to get them to the same goal. Hopefully this year I can meet some more people. It's going to be local in Houston, so I'm excited about that. So I'll probably, of course, I'll meet people from other cities, but I might meet some marketers right here in Houston that I had no idea about. Houston's so huge and it's such a big city. So I know we have marketing talent, but it's just so hard to connect different people and connect the marketing talent and figure out who's who. So I'm excited to see get there and see like who's who. Like, oh, okay, I didn't even know you existed. Like sometimes Houston, you can be on what we call like 290, and I'm way over here in the medical center, which is two totally different places. So we've never been able to connect. We've never been able to even meet each other. We've never even seen each other on social media. So I'm excited to get in the room and kind of see who are the people that I might not even know anything about, but hopefully can build a relationship with.
Yeah, thank you for that. The way people looking at my LinkedIn, I'm hoping they come out because I'm like,
Yeah.
I've never seen you before. We have like 53 mutual connections.
Yeah. It's how Houston can get. It's crazy. And then another thing with Houston is always so many different events going on, not marketing events, but just events, business events, and so many organizations. There's always so much going on in Houston to the point of you can be that connected or that close with so many people, but never have met one another, only because there's just so much going on in Houston that we all really do have like 7 degrees of separation in Houston easily, probably maybe 2 if you're an active person around.
Yeah. Well, how can people find you? And I mean, do you have anything else going on that you want to share with the audience as well?
Well, just stay connected with me. Like I said, I got the small business, the market small business owners community that's consistent. So you can always sign up for that. All you have to do is go to endlessamarketing.com. You can go to jabriellallen.com, jaallenllc.com. When you get off this call, you can be able to go to justcallja.com. So if you just put in John Allen, J-H-A Allen on Google and just click on any link, you'll be able to be sourced with everything I have going on. But the most consistent thing that you'll always be able to find me on is either social media, most likely Instagram or LinkedIn, or you can find me in the marketing community for small business owners. That's where you can find me, connect with me, and we can talk or go from there.
I love it. We'll definitely have all of those links in the show notes. I want to appreciate you for being a guest. I really do admire you, the work that you do. I know you be killing it. You be every networking event from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. In Houston, I was telling someone, they don't realize, I made a video about this once where people come to Houston and they want to take over Houston and do business in Houston. And it sounds glamorous because, Houston is a very popular city right now for a lot of other cities. But to be honest, and I don't want to scare people away, and this is just me because I'm building the brand. I got, I plan on doing God knows what in the next 10 years. But it's like, to really be effective in Houston, sometimes you do have to go to 2 or 3 networking events in a day. But that's me because I'm building the brand. I want to be known in all these different circles. But the way Houston works is it has so many different circles. So it's like, if you really want to tap Houston, you got to tap into several circles. And a lot of times these circles are having events on the same day, maybe different times. Maybe one is downtown, another one's on Washington, and all these different things. So some days or sometimes, depending on your goals, you might have to go to 2 events in a day that are on 2 separate sides of the town. Like yesterday, I was at 2 events. I went to one in the morning. And I found a coffee shop. That's the trick people don't know about. You can't go home. If you go home, you're going to stay at home. So if you plan on moving around for the day, you might want to figure out a way to stay out the whole day, because once you go home, you're not gonna want to go back out. So, that's the trick. But yeah, sometimes I hit 2 events, 3 events in a day.
Yeah, I mean, that's real. I definitely believe with networking, there's, at least for me, there's that moment where this particular season, I'm uber strategic and I'm going hard. I'm planting those seeds. And then eventually they grow and you're networking and actually collaborating with people that like someone that you probably kind of looked up to. You build up that relationship and now you're peers. And I know for this summit, to me, it's kind of a way to kind of give back to people, like people that I've admired from whether it's a year or 10 years, from like, hey, I'm actually doing something, come get on board. Let's collaborate. So definitely grateful for your relationship and just your overall business contribution.
Oh, definitely. I met somebody the other day at a networking event. They're gonna come. She's gonna come. You know her, Janelle. Janelle. She did the branding last year. What's her name? You had to think about it. I'm like, hold on.
Hot Butter Soul. Shout out to her. An amazing talent.
Yeah, she's gonna be there. I seen her at a networking event. She's like, "Oh, I see you're gonna be at Marketing for the Culture." I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Yeah, I told Michelle I'm gonna be there too." And good, But again, I seen her at a networking event, but just connected. And yeah, she's gonna be there. But yeah,
I love it. These are the stories I want to hear. And see, this is why you should buy your ticket. Don't miss out. Don't miss out. We got a lot of stuff in store. Wednesday, May 31st, we're gonna do the kickoff reception. Thursday, June 1st is the actual summit. We're going to discuss ChatGPT, Facebook ads, email marketing, podcasting, growth marketing strategies, PR, e-commerce, supplier diversity, sponsored by HP, right? Like it don't get no bigger or better in that. So I'm excited about this year. And then we're going to cap it off on Friday, June 2nd, with our VIP brunch. Our special guest speaker is Joseph Williams, the director of PR at Stars. So if you watch Power, you watch Raising Canaan, you watch P-Valley, he over all of that. He put in those PR campaigns together. So he's going to give us the inside scoop. And Benicia Darby is going to moderate. And she is the digital marketing manager at Shondaland. So look, this lineup, it don't get no better. You need to go ahead and get your ticket. Come through, come to H-Town. It's gonna be really good. I'm really excited. I feel like I'm in my bag on this, and it should be huge. Should be huge. All right, so I guess that's my tidbit. That's my video clip. But anyways, I want to appreciate you, John. I want to appreciate y'all for listening. Make sure you get your ticket. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us on all of the social media channels. Remember, I believe in you. Thank you for listening to Marketing for the Culture podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe, whether it's on Apple, Google, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. And of course, our videos are on YouTube. If you have a moment, feel free to give us a rate, review, or just comment. We appreciate our sponsors for their continuous support. Also, if you're interested in learning more about our sponsors or becoming a member of the African American Marketing Association, visit aa-ma.org.